Mr. Secretary, thank you for your service. In the readouts from your February 18th meeting with the top Chinese diplomat, Wang Wei, it is noted that you raised the spy balloon as a violation of U.S. sovereignty and violation of international law. We thank you for that. But it's clear from our own State Department that the CCP never gave an explanation for the balloon in your meeting, and that in this meeting, to their understanding, they said it, quote, paved the way for the resumption of future high-level dialogue between the two sides, and the two countries can now talk beyond the balloon issue and come back to the negotiating table on other pressing issues. That does not sound like you offered any deterrence whatsoever for future incursions into our airspace. Why is that a concern? Because this balloon flew over Malmstrom Air Force Base, our nuclear triad, Minot Air Force Base, Warren Air Force Base, Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska, headquartered to STRATCOM, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, Whiteman Air Force Base, where our B-2s are, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, Fort Campbell in my state of Kentucky, Arnold Air Force Base, Tennessee, Camp Frank D. Merrill, Georgia, Shaw Air Force Base, South Carolina, Joint Base Charleston, South Carolina. Mr. Secretary, this spy balloon should have been shot down as soon as it entered the U.S. air defense zone north of Alaska's Aleutian Islands on January 28th. Tell me specifically what your plan is to prevent further PRC incursions into the U.S. homeland.
We told our Chinese counterparts, I told them directly, that the balloon flying over the United States, the spy balloon flying over the United States, was unacceptable and could not happen again. And we are determined to make sure that it doesn't. Not only that, as you know, we were able to expose the entire program, a program that affected more than 40 countries across 5 continents. That resulted not just in us, but many other countries going into China and making clear their opposition to what China was doing and its unacceptability. I think the fact that that program has been exposed for the world to see has clearly put the brakes on it. Well, we will take whatever action is appropriate in any given circumstance to protect the security of the United States. In this particular circumstance, as colleagues have laid out, we made a determination, first of all, when it was clear the balloon was flying over sensitive sites, we made a determination to, first of all, protect those sites with measures that were taken. Second, to make sure that at the earliest opportunity, in ways that did not endanger the population on the ground.
Well, if I may interject, Mr. Secretary,
that's exactly what we did.
I appreciate your dialogue, but and as you noted, there was no apology. Not that we were expecting an apology, but the fact that we didn't shoot it down before it entered our airspace over the Pacific, not over the Atlantic, was an invitation for further incursions. Talk is cheap. Deterrence requires force. When our airspace and our sovereignty is at issue, let me move on to another question.
I agree with you. Once something is in our airspace or in our sovereignty,
this week's summit between Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping reinforced the no limits relationship between those two authoritarian regimes. In fact, Xi described the visit as a new chapter in strengthening relations between Beijing and Moscow. They are saying that this was portrayed in China as a bold initiative to create a new world order. In your meeting with China's top diplomat, Wang, you warned about the implications and consequences if China provided material support to Russia for its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. But on February 27th, we finally received the required report from my Access Act giving full unclassified assessment of China's support of Russia's illegal full invasion of Ukraine. And that report said that Russian custom records indicated PRC firms have provided Russian entities with restricted and dual-use products which can be used in Russia's prosecution of its war against Ukraine. Chinese state-owned defense companies have shipped navigation equipment, jamming technology, jet fighter parts to sanctioned government-owned defense companies. New York Times, since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, China has sold more than $12 million in drones and drone parts to the country. And then according to Trade and Customs data, Chinese companies, including one connected to the government of Beijing, have sent Russian entities assault rifles and other equipment that can be used for military purposes. So my question is, why are you then just saying on February 18th, you're just warning of consequences for providing Russia material support when the State Department comes out 9 days later with an entire year's worth of unclassified evidence of China's material support to Russia?
Congressman, we're focused on lethal material support being provided by the Chinese state to the
It
Russians.
looks like lethal support.
And we're also tracking the provision by private enterprises of dual-use technology that could be of concern. So this is a
I think we need to
concern.
sanction China for their lethal support. It's not just buying the oil and buying the gas. We have documented trade records, custom records of providing lethal support now. We need to get tougher on the CCP. They are financing this war in Russia, and they are providing lethal support. According to this trade and customs data, we need action, and I urge this administration to follow suit. I yield back.
Thank you.
좀